Dear waiting moms, welcome to another episode of Becoming Moms podcast. My name is Dr. Tien. I'm a pharmacist and a fertility coach, and I'm your host. After almost 2 years of my own trying to conceive journey with irregular cycles and insulin resistance, I can understand how challenging and lonely it is to be on this journey. And at the beginning of 2022, I was able to regulate my cycles and fall pregnant naturally, as well as improve my insulin resistance by lowering my A1C down to a normal range after only 6 weeks. I am now on a mission to help all of you waiting moms find a better, more balanced way to optimize your hormones and your body in order to increase your chances of conceiving without feeling like you have to be on any restrictive diet or crazy amount of medication or supplements. I know I don't want to do that, so I don't want you to have to go through that either. Okay, so let's get into today's episode. I've been meaning to record this topic for about a month now, but I just didn't have time to really go into detail that would actually help you understand this topic a lot better and help you decide what is the right option for you when it comes to whether or not you should eat dairy or avoid dairy if you have PCOS and you're trying to conceive. This goes along with other conditions in the realm of metabolic syndrome as well, like diabetes, prediabetes, if you have insulin resistant with PCOS, or if you're concerned about your weight and hormonal imbalances, right? So this covers all of those conditions. These are basically all metabolic syndrome, so that's the term I'll be using when referring to these conditions. And personally, I'm currently living a dairy-free lifestyle as much as I can. Some items might include dairy that I'll consume that I might not know, or that I'm okay for the day, or I'm okay for the meal. But I'll tell you why I am doing dairy-free, and it might not be the lifestyle for everybody. It was the first step that I did take towards changing my nutrition and lifestyle for conception. So I do believe that staying off of dairy helped me in many ways. But if you don't think you can give up cheese, don't worry. You'll still be able to get pregnant, but we'll go over how we'll go about doing that a little bit later. So how this episode is going to go is I'll kind of give you a little bit background on all the information about dairy that you would need to know if you are trying to conceive and you have hormonal imbalances. And I'll go over why I choose to avoid dairy. And then I'll go over the options that if you want to keep dairy as part of your nutrition, as part of your diet, how you can go about doing that. Okay. So let's talk about the background, or kind of the history behind why dairy is such a controversial topic when you hear most practitioners or other healthcare professionals talk about this component, this particular nutrient, as part of your trying to conceive journey. So because dairy is such widely recommended, it's been ingrained in our system, in our society, in our culture for years and years and years. So growing up, you hear that you need to drink milk to have enough calcium to grow strong bone, and that baby need to be drinking whole milk after they finish breast milk or formula, starting at 1 year old throughout their toddler years for them to grow, right? So because it's such a big nutrient that has been recommended ever since you were born, basically. So, how can it be bad for your body when you're trying to conceive, right? And then you also see these other influencers on social media and other nutritionists or dietitian who decide to recommend a dairy-free lifestyle. Some of them are also doing that for PCOS. Some of them are doing that for other hormonal things or other conditions, right? So it's very confusing and controversial. And when this topic was introduced to me over 2 years ago, I couldn't wrap my mind around it either. I was like, why would I give up dairy? This is what I'm supposed to be eating. Even because my background is in type 2 diabetes, helping patient with diabetes, lowering their blood sugar, and all the recommendation from the American Diabetes Association recommend that you would use dairy as part of your protein intake, right? So I was very conflicted of all these guidelines and all of the information I've learned throughout my professional life. But at the same time, I wanted to keep an open mind. So this is also what I've asked, what I'm asking you guys to do. Take everything with an open mind so that you are able to decide for yourself what choice, what route will be the best option for you. Okay, so don't just shut everything down like, oh no, everything she's saying is not correct. I know for a fact this and that, right? I want you to just put everything that you think you know on the back end burner and just kind of listen and see if any of this might be useful for you or helpful, right? Okay, so let's get into what's going on with the dairy. Why is everything such a conflicting event of this topic? For me, I decided to explore this when I got I got off of my birth control, and it's been 6 months. I hadn't had a period yet, but my acne's actually started to come back. And I didn't even realize that it had anything to do with me getting off of my birth control. But then after a while, I was like, okay, this is definitely hormonal related, right? I'm getting the same exact acne pattern as I did when I was a teenager, and I didn't start birth control yet. And now that I'm off of it, all the acne came back. I used to have acne all over my forehead lines and my hairline and my eyebrow lines. It was weird, like nothing on my cheeks, on my face. So I would have bangs to cover them when I was a teenager, but now I don't have bangs anymore, right? So everybody can see my acne, and then I would like use so much makeup and so much concealer just to cover them up, and it's just kind of gotten really tiring. And I follow a couple of, well, I follow a lot of people, but one of them is this girl named Casey Ho. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. She runs Block Gelatis and Popplex. I think that's her two company. So she also had a lot of acne. So one of her Instagram posts was, I used to have acne, now I don't have acne anymore. What did I do? She said that she basically just stopped dairy. So I was like, okay, that's crazy, right? And then I saw another post from Ashley Tisdale. She also apparently had acne. Or actually, no, I don't. It might not have been acne. It might have been something else. I don't remember exactly. But she also lived a dairy-free life. So, like, two people are recommending it. And these are influencers, right? So I didn't really know anything about trying to conceive hormonal PCOS at the time. I was just kind of exploring the idea. So I decided to kind of switch to more plant-based milk product. I think I used to drink 2% milk for the longest time. And then I was also have a cup of yogurt. My go-to was used to be Activia. I thought that you needed that to help with your digestive system because of all the probiotics. So that was my everyday meal. Like my snack, I would have an Activia and then I would drink milk with cereal in the morning. But then I started switching to plant based milk. I think I started with oat because I tried almond milk at one point and I didn't like the taste of it. So then I figured I would try something else and I actually liked the taste of oat milk. So then I started using that. But then I couldn't give up my yogurt. But when I was coaching my diabetes patient, I did realize that yogurt has a lot more um, sugar. And that's one of the things that we're trying to cut back on is added sugar to things. So then I decided to do that as well. But what really pushed me over to pursue this lifestyle completely was Dr. Lab here interrupting your episode. I do have an announcement that I think will be super exciting and beneficial for you, especially if it doesn't cost anything, right? So I actually have a free Facebook community for waiting moms out there just like you. And this is where I provide a lot of extra additional free training in more in-depth details than I'm able to do here on the podcast. So we've actually had a training recently on insulin resistance, and I had a whole multiple ones on egg quality, what you actually need to be eating to improve your egg quality, things like that, like nutrition, what to eat, so much more too on there in this little community. And I do these training once a month in my free Facebook group that you can join that doesn't cost you anything. And you actually get to meet other waiting moms just like yourself to share the journey that you guys are on and keeping each other supported, keeping each other accountable on doing all the things that will be so beneficial for you and your new baby to help you really optimize your body and your hormones to be the perfect place for as a future home for your baby for the next 9 months, right? And these little trainings are designed to help you get pregnant even sooner than most people who wouldn't have access to these trainings, right? So when you enter the community, make sure though you answer my question before joining. I have a lot of people trying to join but don't answer any of my questions. I decline them immediately because I actually want this community to be exclusive for people who are serious about their condition, about their health, and about their trying to conceive journey. I want to be able to tailor this group into what would be the best for you. So these questions are meant to help me help you even more. So if you answer them and you'll get in immediately, right? It just shows me that you are serious about this journey and you're serious about your health and you're just not here to you're not just here to look at information, but you're here to actually ready to learn and you're ready to start that next chapter of your life and starting your pregnancy journey instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting to see when it will be your turn, right? And I know this really overwhelming and lonely sometime on this journey. That's why I create this free community, and I really hope that you decide to join us. So I'll put the link to join my free Facebook community in the description of the podcast. So make sure you check that out, and I can't wait to see you in the community. Was in my additional training for type 2 diabetes certification. I wanted to basically, get better at helping my patients. So more trainings as usual. And what they taught us in that training was that a lot of dairy products, because of the way dairy cows are raised, they're raised to produce more milk. So they have these things called insulin like growth factor, which is basically injected into them so that they would produce more milk. And this chemical, basically, when you ingest it from dairy products, and if you have PCOS and you already have high testosterone, this product is basically leads to excess testosterone floating in the body, and that's because it mimics the insulin resistant part of the condition. And if you follow me on social media, I've already made a post or a reel about dairy, and I call this a insulin sensitizer because of this very reason. It kind of worsen your insulin resistance and it creates more free testosterone in your body. So if you have this already as a issue, we might want to rethink dairy, right? And then, so basically, that is why I decided to do dairy free. And we can go over a little bit more about the component of cow's milk in general. So they contain, of course, vitamins and minerals because they are still very good for babies and toddlers, right? Essential amino acid, and they also have male and female sex hormones, growth factors, and other substances. And the female sex hormones is what's called fat loving hormones. And when you actually are consuming dairy products, but you're using like low fat or low fat, like the 2% milk type things, those has been processed to remove all of the fat, which mean they also removed all of the female sex hormones, which means there's only male sex hormones left. That's testosterone. So if you are drinking skim milk or 2% milk right now, you're actually increasing the amount of testosterone in your body. So another reason why it's not working, right? If you are consuming this and you have PCOS, hormonal imbalances, and all of the metabolic syndrome that we've talked about. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of background on dairy and why I decided to take the dairy free route. I really didn't want to chance it because I really wanted to become pregnant as soon as possible. That was number one goal. And then actually, when I decided to cut out all dairy in my diet, my my acne was just completely gone. It was so clear that I didn't even have to wear foundation or concealer at all. I basically got my clear skin back that I was having the past 10 years that I was on hormonal birth control. So that's one of the indication that what I'm doing is working for my body. Okay, so this is my own decision and this is the reason that I had decided, right? I mentioned all of that. But this doesn't have to be your lifestyle either. I'm just telling you where this is coming from and why some people are recommending this lifestyle for people with PCOS or hormonal imbalances, where you're trying to heal or balance your hormones or trying to conceive. But remember when I said if you are consuming low fat or skim milk, 2% milk, things like that, where it was processed to remove all of the female sex hormones and you're left with free testosterone floating in there, right? So that basically means if you actually are consuming full fat dairy, you are still going to get the female sex hormones as well as the male sex hormones. So even though you're getting the balance, which is better than just getting testosterone alone if you already have that as an issue. So that is why you can actually still consume dairy. So why some people are still recommending dairy, and they're actually recommending full fat dairy for this reason. So you can still have dairy. So don't be alarmed that you can't have cheese forever. And actually, cheese is one of the product you can still have because it's full fat dairy. So you still are getting all of the nutrients in dairy, and not just the male sex hormones, right? But there is a caveat to this option because this is full fat, and not everything fat related is good and healthy for you, right? That's why so many healthcare professionals also recommend low fat and fat free. So right, it's so confusing. You like, what's going on with the whole nutrition of dairy? That's why for me, for my own insanity's sake, I just completely avoid it because it's just so much iffy things about it. But if you think that's not for you, here's what you'll do, okay? So don't consume any low fat or fat free products while you're trying to conceive. So this is specifically for fertility. So once you're pregnant and you have a baby, you could always go back to low fat. Not a problem. Even maybe though it might be a problem if dairy is still giving you trouble. So we'll talk about that later. But right now, I'm trying to get you to be pregnant, right? So this is fertility focused recommendation. So don't eat any low fat or fat free dairy products, especially like frozen yogurt, sherbet, low fat yogurt. Those are basically the things that most likely causing your ovulation trouble during conception. And another important thing, you only need 1 or 2 serving a day of full fat dairy to affect your fertility. Okay. And that's basically mean don't go eat a whole pan of ice cream every single night. Ice cream is okay. So you can still eat ice cream. That's considered full fat most of the time. But 1 or 2 serving only per day, right? And then I was talking about because it's full fat, it will have higher amount of saturated fat, and of course it's higher in calories than the low fat products. So if you're trying to lose weight as well, this won't help basically. So you have to look out for the calorie intake and the saturated fat intake if you decide to continue to consume dairy. And that can be hard too because a lot of the time you also hear that your doctor is recommending you to lose weight, right? Even though I don't really care about weight loss when you're trying to conceive because weight is not the only factor. It can be helpful if it's the right option for you. Again, everything depends on your own condition, your own body, and everything has reason that they're recommending. But like I said, we're just going back to dairy right now. And if you decide like me and you don't want to deal with all of this dairy, hormones, growth factor, insulin, yada yada, we still have ways to get our calcium, right? So remember the main reason that most healthcare professionals recommend dairy to begin with is to help with your bone because of the calcium component. So if I don't take any dairy product, where do I get my calcium component, right? Actually, this is where I feel like I'm getting even more calcium than regular milk. A lot of the time, your plant-based milk will have additional calcium added to it already. I actually choose the I remember how I said I used to drink oat milk. I don't drink oat milk anymore because I can't find ones that don't have sugar that taste good. So right now I'm using Ripple milk. It has the protein component that I like, and it's non-processed, and it doesn't have any sugar added to it. So I really like that option right now. But anyways, so besides, the plant-based milk has additional calcium in it, where else can you get your calcium? Basically, any kind of green leafy vegetables are really high in calcium. For me, I eat a lot of bok choy in Asian cuisine. Basically, I have that every week, and that's super high in calcium. If you don't know what that is and you're more familiar with others, things like spinach, kale, broccolis, those are also really good options for calcium, right? And you can also look for more fortified calcium in things like bread or flour. And also, fish is also higher in calcium, such as sardines and pilchards. So, those are some of the options that you can use if you decide to go dairy free. And it's not an easy lifestyle. I tell you, everything that you purchase at the store has milk in it. So it's been a challenging decision, but I don't regret it one bit because it's been working for me. I don't have to deal with acne, and I was able to conceive naturally, and my A1C went down, right? Like everything just worked for me and my own condition, and I don't really care to go back. And honestly, because one of the other reason why I think I could do this was I grew up in a third world country, Vietnam, for 12 years of my life and never really eat cheese or enjoy any of the other dairy product. I did drink milk, but otherwise switching to just plant-based milk is already, a perfect substitution if I still want to continue to drink milk. Otherwise, I didn't really need any more dairy. Plus, I actually have lactose intolerance a little bit in my blood because now that I haven't had dairy for a while, it's been at least 2 years, probably, or more. My body basically decided to not make the enzyme that process lactose anymore, so I can't even have it if I want to. I mean, I guess I could take a lactate pill and then enjoy dairy when I want to. I probably would do that if I was to go to Paris and everything is made of dairy there, and you're only in Paris once, right? So you have to enjoy all the food. I would probably take a lactate then. But for now, I'm loving my new skin, I'm loving my new lifestyle, and I'm able to continue living and healing from my hormonal imbalances without dairy. So that's a good decision for me. I'm not saying that's a decision that you need to follow. I provided hopefully enough information in this episode that you're able to make a decision for yourself of whether or not you should continue to stay on with dairy. And another thing that people mostly recommend dairy for is because of the vitamin D. So like I said, plant-based milk will have vitamin D added to it as well, but you actually should also go outside, get some sunshine every day. That's where you'll generate vitamin D naturally as well, and sunshine is just good for the body. It helps with depression, right? It makes you feel so much better. And if you go outside, you get a walk, you get a little exercise in. And remember what I talk about insulin resistance. Exercise helps improve your insulin resistance naturally anyway. So it's a win-win situation, honestly, right? And that's basically all there is about dairy. except for if you have insulin resistance, it can be a more difficult decision to stay on with dairy. Some people will still continue to do it. Of course, I can't tell you not to do something, right? If you don't want to do it, and if you want more research on where I'm getting all this information, of course, I'd be happy to provide them. I don't want to give you anything that I didn't try out myself, or I didn't find all the evidence-based research to back up all of my recommendation. So if you are interested in reading up on those, definitely reach out and I will be happy to provide all of that. And hopefully you found value in this episode and you're able to make a decision for yourself and you're not so confused and overwhelmed about all this dairy talk on social media and why people have so many different recommendations on this product. And if you really want to do dairy free, just reach out to me as well. I'll give you more information on how I did that, besides switching out my yogurt and my plant-based milk. You'll basically have to read ingredients on every single thing that you buy and make sure there's no dairy in it. And if your partner or your family members still want to eat dairy, how would you go about continue living your dairy-free life while they're enjoying dairy? So there's a lot going on if you really want to embark on this journey, if you feel like this is the right decision for you, right? You have to think about a lot of things, and it's a lot of commitment, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of time, but is the result worth it for you, right? Do you have hormone imbalances? Do you have insulin resistance? Do you have acne problems? Are you trying to conceive right now? Are these more important to you than eating dairy? Right? You have to consider what your future would look like if you didn't have dairy. What is more important to you? What are your priorities? Are you just going to do this um, short term? Are you wanting to do this for more a lifestyle change? And what would be the right decision for you, right? There's a lot you have to consider about basically just cutting out a complete food group. Basically, this is what they're calling it. The opposing team of the dairy would be like, if they're telling you to cut out the complete food group, you should stay away from them, right? And honestly, I use this phrase too for when I talk about people recommending keto diet, because that means you're just cutting out carbohydrates and it's so important for you to have carbohydrates. It's not even funny. So don't do that. So see that there's reason for either options. And actually, let's do the next episode about carbohydrates, right? That's a good food group and why I think we should continue to eat them and how you can consume carbohydrates in the best way possible that will doesn't affect your weight and help you actually lose weight if that's something you are working on, and balance your hormones, curb your cravings. Yeah, that's basically what we'll talk about for next topic. Well, that's all for today's episode of Becoming Moms. I hope you really enjoyed it and you found it helpful. And if you resonate with everything that I talked about today and you feel like you want to learn more, you want to learn how to truly create sustainable changes that will ensure that you will be able to effortlessly fall pregnant and find freedom from dieting, freedom from killing yourself over at the gyms days in and days out, freedom from all those medication and supplements that you're currently on, so you can stop worrying about your future and stop worrying about if you ever become a mom, and start enjoying your baby making journey again. Start living your dream as your reality, right? That probably is just going to have the family that you've always wanted, instead of constantly living fear and feel stuck on your trying to conceive journey. Then I really invite you to connect with me. I want to get to know you better, and I want to show you how I can make all of that happen for you, right? We'll actually chat for 45 whole minutes where we'll hash out a strategic plan to help you see that regulating your cycles and ovulation isn't all that impossible anymore. But I'll only want you to reach out if you feel like you are 110% committed to your health and that you are ready to take massive action to make it happen, okay? Because we can both talk and talk until we're both blue in the face, but if you are not willing to invest in your health, not willing to invest in yourself, then nothing we can say can really change anything, right? So if you really think that is you and you are ready to see where your powerful self can really take you, then all you gotta do is go to drpromlatwellnesscorner.com/apply and book a free roadmap call with me. I am committed to you and your health, and I will work with you until you are successful. During the session, we will evaluate where your strengths are and what's currently working for you, and then we'll take a look at what we can improve upon, as well as mapping out a plan for you to get there. And then if you are a really good fit, I'll actually offer you a spot in my Becoming Moms community, where we will work further with you on how to create a more sustainable and less restrictive way so you can actually optimize your hormones in your body to increase your chances of conceiving without having to think about if you'll ovulate this month at all. Also, make sure to fill out the little short survey attached to our call before the session, so I have a bit of a background on you to better prepare and plan for our session to make sure that you will get the most out of your time with me. Okay, well, I can't wait to speak with you soon. Until then, sending you lots of baby dust.